What's going on today, YouTube? Today I'm going over the latest version of the Audiobook Maker, and that incorporates all of the text-to-speech engines I've been talking about on my channel, except for XTTS. So this is what you see on the screen here. This is the Audiobook Maker. I have one already kind of loaded in here. I've got 4 sentences. I'm just going to play the audio from selected. Let me hide the text-to-speech engines, and then let's just listen to this real quick. This is really bad.
Lost and penniless, those few words were all he could think of.
Well, penniless wasn't quite right.
He did have his wallet in his pocket. And setting aside the fact that he had an abundance of small change and very few notes, it couldn't be denied that he had his assets on him.
So there we go. Pretty simple, just generating audio for each sentence. You can choose what speaker you want to have in here, and you can even edit in place. So what I saw here was not said correctly. It said wasn't. So I could even correct this to if I wanted was not, and then I could just say something like regenerate chosen sentence. But since I edited it, I actually need to do continue audiobook generation, and then it'll generate this sentence here. So it's just going to load the model, get all of the models loaded, and then it's going to generate the sentence. So we should be able to now listen to it. So let's just go ahead and take a listen.
Well, penniless was not quite right.
So now it says was not, and that's some in-place editing. There are some other things in here that I've added from the previous, or that's different from the previous version. Like you can upload model and voices now, so you no longer have to do that manually. And then that was the big one that I incorporated in here, and then I added GPT Sovits. So yeah, I'm gonna go over how you can get this installed and running on your own devices. For that, you're gonna need some requirements. But before that, I'm gonna mention that I do have this as a package as well that you can purchase if you don't want to go through the hassle of all of the manual installation. So I do have it up right now on my Buy Me a Coffee page. I have increased the price. It is going to be $30 now. But for the month of June, I am going to be having a discount code, which is going to be 15 off. So this is going to be valid until July 1st. If you still want to get it at the $15 price that I had it at before, it'll be available until the beginning of July. So yeah, if you already have it, you'll have access to all of the future versions. And I'll be showing how you can use that right now. So if you have already purchased the Audiobook Maker, to get access to the latest version, you'll just need to go to the link where all of the files are hosted, and then just download, and we're gonna just unzip it. So I have it in my secondary computer here. This other computer is kind of like a clean install, so to speak. So when you download it, you'll get a very large file. It'll be about 14 gigabytes. All you need to do is just right click and then do unzip or extract all. I'm going to use 7-zip to extract it because 7-zip is much faster than Windows extract all. So we are going to go ahead and do this. And while this is unzipping, if you're doing the package version, you also need one more thing. And so if we go into the GitHub, underneath the underneath the package installation, what you need to do is go to the CUDA dev kit link, go here, and then you'll just need to download this base installer. So download this base installer, and that's what would be right here. This is the base installer. And then you just run through all of the setup prompts to get CUDA dev kit installed on your computer. This is so that you can run some of the models that are required for the package. And then you'll also, mentioning CUDA, you'll also need an NVIDIA graphics card. So if you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, this is not going to work for you, unfortunately. So that is just one bare requirement that you'll need for the Audiobook Maker as of now. And then once it's done unzipping, all we need to do to finish up the rest of the package for some of the text-to-speech engines is double click on finish style TTS install.bat. And this is going to install all of the style TTS requirements that we'll need, and then get the models downloaded. And then And then to use the F5 TTS engine, the F5 TTS engine will be downloaded once you start trying to run it. And this is because of the CC by NC 4.0 license of the base F5 TTS model. So I'm working on training, some of my own models, but that's going to take quite a bit longer. So we'll see how long that takes to hopefully be able to release with the package version so that you guys will have one inside of the package install. So I'm going to let that run on my other computer. And that's going to be pretty much it if you have the packaged version. If you run into any difficulties, feel free to email me or open up an issue on the GitHub's issues area here where you can ask questions or run into any issues. I've been helping people out there recently. And then if you're a member of the channel, what I'll be doing, because I have a packages tier for the members channel, for the members of my channel, I'll be having a discount code, a perpetual discount code on the members part of the channel, just to offset the price of membership for the price of the audiobook package. So if you're a member of the channel, look out for that area in the members tab underneath the channel. And with that, we're going to jump into the manual installation. So if you have done manual installations on the channel before, you'll know that you'll need a few requirements, and that is Git on your computer. You'll need Python, and then some other things. I recommend that you have VS Code on your computer. You're going to need to get FFmpeg as well, and then you'll also need to install the CUDA toolkit. So for the CUDA toolkit, if you run into any issues, this is what was causing it, but you'll need to download that CUDA toolkit, download run 3.1 gigabytes, and then you'll be able to use the package. So go ahead and get the CUDA toolkit up and going. We're going to need Python 3.11. I have this one at 3.11.9. So go here, scroll down to the Windows 64-bit installer. Go ahead, download that installer, run through the installation instructions to get that up and running. Then you're going to need Git on your computer. So go to this link, go to download for Windows, and then go ahead and click here for download, or click here to download, run through the installer, go through and accept all of the default options, and then you'll need FFmpeg. So to get FFmpeg installed, you'll need to download the exe file from gyan.dev, and then you'll need to have 7-zip on your computer to unzip the FFmpeg. And if you need a tutorial on that, go ahead and go to this YouTube link.
Edit the system environment,
where it'll show you how you can install FFmpeg onto your system. So those are going to be the requirements that you need for the manual installation on Windows. So make sure you have all of that before you get started for the manual installation. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the audiobook maker here and actually close out of that, because we're going to be setting up from scratch. What I highly recommend you do, put the browser in one side of the window, and then we're going to put a terminal in the other. So I'm in a file explorer here. So all I'm going to do is type or right click and type open in, or click on open in terminal. So that's going to open up a PowerShell terminal. If not, you could always just go to Windows, type in PowerShell, and then open up PowerShell here. That'll work. But yeah, we want to do it inside of this delete me folder, so, or wherever folder you want to go into. So that's why I just right click and do open in terminal. You can also just type cmd in here, but this will open up an older terminal that's not PowerShell. We want to use PowerShell. So here we are. What we need to do is just run through this installation one by one and get everything up and going. So we'll just copy this, we'll paste this into here, paste anyways. So this is going to do, is going to git clone all of the files that you need for the audiobook maker into this repository or this folder. And then you're going to change directory into the audiobook maker folder. And then you'll need to create a Python 3.11 virtual environment. So we're going to copy and paste that into here. And then we are going to activate the virtual environment. If you've never activated a virtual environment, you're going to want to learn how to enable execution of PowerShell scripts here. So go to this super user page, and you're going to need to follow this instructions here. You're going to need to set execution policy to remote assigned in PowerShell. And then we're going to install the basic requirements to get the GUI graphical user interface up and going. So pip install our requirements.txt. This is going to pull all of the dependencies that we need and install them into the virtual environment. This is going to be isolated from the global Python environment, which is why we do everything inside of a virtual environment. Makes things so that it doesn't interfere with other projects you might install on your computer. So let's wait for this to finish up. Once it finishes up, we're going to need to pull all of these submodules. So I'm going to type in clear to clear the PowerShell window, and then I'm going to paste this into here. So this is going to get all of the Git submodules that we need, and we're going to pull all of those. Going to pull all of those other repositories that this audiobook maker depends upon into the folder. So that's going to clone and check all of those out. I'm going to type clear once more again, and then I'm going to launch the interface. So Python source controller.py, and you're going to get a bunch of errors in here. So you can see all of these different tracebacks, but the graphical user interface should launch. So success, you've launched the audiobook maker. You just can't use any of the text-to-speech engines. So now that we've successfully launched the audiobook maker, we are going to go through and install the rest of the text-to-speech engines. So just doing that for sanity check. If you run into any issues with that, something else happened and you'll have to debug the issue. So the next thing that we want to do is install text-to-speech engines. We are going to do all of them in today's video. So make sure your virtual environment is activated. So always make sure that it is. You'll see a green venv in the shell window here if that's the case. If not, for example, if you had closed it out, you'll probably see something like base. So just reactivate it by copying and pasting that into the terminal, and then you should see it happen. You should see venv again. So now we're going to change the directory into the submodule, then pull its submodules. So we could just copy this, paste anyways, and then enter. So that's going to get everything we need for a tortoise. Then we're going to install these submodules, paste anyways, get those installed. So alrighty, and once all of those are done, we'll run this next command here to install the API repository. And then we are going to change directory back into our root repo, which will be audiobook maker right here. So we don't need to run this last step, which is to ensure requirements are at the versions that they're at. We'll need to do that at the very end, but since we are installing all of them, we don't need to do it every single time. So there is one important step that you want to make sure is correct by the end of the install. We'll do that a little bit later, but that's checking to see if PyTorch is installed with CUDA, or else it's just going to use your CPU. So we'll check that a little bit later. For now, we'll move on to the next installation, which is style.tts. Installing an older version, you'll want to make sure you pull the repository to update if you're on an older install. So you just go to this area here and check it out. But we're going to now just move on to step one. Going to change directory into the style.tts API module, and then we're going to pull the requirements for the submodule here. So get submodule update. So let's wait for those to download into modules, and then we are going to install the style.tts API. So pip install this current directory, then change directories back into the root directory here. So I'm gonna type clear one more time. And then we're going to need to install monotonic align. So what we need to do is go here to Hugging Face, download this wheel. We're going to go into the audiobook maker, put it inside of the root of the repository, and then we'll go ahead and run this command here. So pip install monotonic align. This, if you're running a different Python version, you can build it yourself here at this current at this hash, but you're going to need C++ build tools. So if you have that, cool. If not, you'll need to follow these instructions. And then we're gonna need to get espeak.eng or espeak.ng and the base style.tts by running the finish style.tts install bat. So let's go ahead and finish style.tts install.bat, type that in, What I just did there was auto complete. So I typed in fin, clicked tab, and then it pulled the file with the nearest name. And then we are just going to run that. So that's going to do the same installation on your computer. And then that's going to get the style TTS model here. Alternatively, you can just install eSpeak NG onto your computer, and then you'll need to add it into your environment path. But this .bat file should fix it for you, and you won't need to do that. So let's wait for this to finish up downloading, and we'll be back. Okay, and then once it finishes, you'll get a message like this. So press any key to continue. We're going to type clear to clear the window. And then if you navigate into the audiobook folder, you should see that you have eSpeak NG in here. So that is all good to go. And then that should be it for Style TTS 2. And for F5 TTS, we're just going to follow the instructions written here, virtual environment, pip install F5 TTS. So go ahead and do that. Then GPT Sovets, we're also going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to finish these up and then come back to you guys once they're all complete. And then at the last step of GPT Sovets, there is a setting that you can configure to automatically download GPT Sovets models. If you go into the Audiobook Maker folder, you go to configs, go to settings.yaml, and then there's a parameter in here that is auto download GPT Sovets models. So if we open this guy up, it's this here. We're going to leave it at true, but you could set this to false if you already have the models downloaded, and that'll prevent it from trying to automatically download GPT Sovets models when you go to run inference. But I'm going to set that to true because we do want to download them when we do inference. And then that is going to be all of the text-to-speech engines as of right now. Lastly, if you do want to use RVC in here, retrieval-based voice conversion, we can also install that too. So this is the speech-to-speech engines that we have available, or that I've made available. So you'll just go to this FairSeek link here, download it into the Audiobook Maker folder, and then just go and install it via terminal here. So that's going to go and get FairSeek installed in here. And then just run through these last 2 steps here. And then that's the last engine we're installing. So just to make sure all of the requirements are at the versions they're needed at, we're going to do pip install r.requirements again, just to make sure all of the dependencies we need are at the correct versions. So we're going to run through that. You're going to see some errors pop up on the left-hand side here. Don't mind them, like these ones right here. And we are going to be good to go. We do need to check one more thing, and that is check the torch install. This is very important for NVIDIA users because we want to make sure that torch is able to see that we have a NVIDIA GPU. So do pip show torch. What this is going to show us is the version. This is incorrect. It should say 2.7.0 plus CUDA 128. This is going to be required for Blackwell GPUs and NVIDIA 50 series. So since we don't have that, we're just going to need to reinstall Torch at that version. So go ahead, pip uninstall Torch, then run this command here. I already have mine cached, so it's going to install into the virtual environment fairly quickly, but it will incur probably like a 3.3 gigabyte download for you guys. So you'll have to wait for that to finish up. And that is pretty much it. There are some other things in here like updating the package, yada, yada, yada. I really recommend that you reinstall from scratch if you're running into any issues. Check to see if that resolves things first, especially if you're updating an old repository. You can run into some weird stuff there. And then for usage, I'm currently working on a usage guide because I realize I cannot cover everything that you can do with it inside of a YouTube video, and I think it'll be a little cumbersome to have a YouTube video for all of that. So yeah, and then yeah, acknowledgements, licensing, that is going to be it for the Audiobook Maker, and we are good to go here. So if you have VS Code installed, you could type code space dot, and that's going to open up the repository in VS Code here. So here we are. In my case, I actually have it opened up in Cursor, which is my AI development IDE, and yeah, what we're going to need to do is just open up a terminal in here, or let's just go back to a good old PowerShell. So let's just type in clear. In order to run this, all we need to do is make sure our virtual environment is activated. So here we go, venv scripts activate. So it's already activated. Then we need to type Python source and then controller. I'm using tab to finish up the lines. And then this will launch the audiobook maker. And if we did everything correctly, if you follow all the instructions, it'll launch without any fatal errors. Alrighty, so here we are. We've got it launched, and if you take a look inside of the PowerShell window, here we have no errors that are indicative of a bad engine install or anything like that. If there are errors in here that mention the names of the engines, that means something went wrong, but in this case, we are good to go. So now, let's just go over the functionality of the audiobook maker. And if you have the package version, welcome back. This is the part that we're going to be coming back to. And now let's just go over how you can use this. So a basic generation for an audiobook, you're going to need a text file and then just name the book. And then you're going to need some type of voice file or reference audio file. So the first things first, let's go ahead and upload a reference audio file. So go to upload models and voices. For today, we are going to use GPT Sovitz. So we select GPT Sovitz for engine and then voice reference file. We're going to give this a name. I'm going to go ahead and type in me because we're going to use my voice as the reference audio. So me, and then browse for reference audio. Let me just find it real quick. So I've got a WAV file right here that has my voice. I'm going to go ahead and open it. And then because this is a GPT Sovitz model, we need to input the audio transcription. So this file, I already know what it says. It says the birch canoe slid on smooth planks. So you'll just have to type in whatever transcription for the audio sample is into this box here, and then you can click upload. So it's going to say file upload complete, and then we can exit out of here. But before we do that, there are some other models that require different stuff. So Tortoise does not require the text transcription, neither does Style TTS. F5 does, and then so does GPT Sovitz. RVC doesn't require any, so there is none here, but it does allow you to do AI models. So all of that is included in the uploads area here. So if I show you real quick where you could find that file, where it got uploaded into is voices, GPT Sovitz, inside of the me folder, and here it is. So if we take a listen to it, the birch canoe slid on smooth planks. There is that, there is the audio, and then the text, the birch canoe slid on smooth planks. So that is where it gets uploaded into. If you wanted to delete it, you would need to delete that folder. So we've got that in there. So the next thing we need is a text file. And so I have one already in here, but if you don't have one, I'll show you real quick how you can make one. So I recommend you put them inside of this input text files folder, but you don't need to. We're just going to create a, let's say, I'm just going to name this empty, whatever you want to do. So we're going to open this empty.txt up, and we're going to paste some words into it. So what I recommend is something like ChatGPT to help you separate things line by line, because what the way the audiobook maker loads in text files is it loads files or sentence by new lines. So I'll show you real quick. So we've got the Great Gatsby here. If I, for example, if I copy this entire paragraph, what's going to happen is it's going to separate the audiobook into two large sentences. So it'll use this, and then it'll use this. You'll have two lines inside of the audiobook table here, and it won't be able to read the second line correctly because text-to-speech only operates at a certain length without running into issues. So what we need to do is separate this into individual sentences. So we can use LLMs to accomplish that. Now I'm working on a solution that can do this locally. You might think that it's as simple as splitting each new line on periods, but you run into issues with abbreviations, Mr., stuff like that. And it's no fun. So I'm working on a way to do that locally with an LLM. But we want to split this into new lines. So we'll say, can you split this into new lines and return it back to me in full? And then we'll paste that into here. And then it'll do its best to split this into new lines. And then we can just copy this, go into that empty.txt, and then paste it. So go ahead and save that. So boom, now we've got our text split into new lines. This is the free version of ChatGPT, so you can do this on their free version, or you can do it if you're a subscriber as well. And then we can go back into the audiobook maker. Now we'll select text file, navigate into that folder where we have it, input text file, and then we named it empty. Oops, I'm in the wrong area. Input text files, empty.txt. We're going to open that, and it's going to load in here, which is great. So everything is split into individual cells, and we can start to generate a audiobook from it. So in the bottom right-hand corner here, you have a show, hide, TTS, S2S, a text-to-speech, and speech-to-speech. We've also got this font slider here, and since I'm recording a video, I'm going to increase the font slider just to make things more visible for you guys. And we can click this show TTS S2S option to set up our text-to-speech configuration. So for now, we're not going to use the speech-to-speech engine because I don't have an RVC model loaded, but we'll go ahead and select GPT Sovets. Real quick, Tortoise is going to automatically download the models you need when you start inferring on it. So will F5 TTS. So GPT Sovets 2. So we're going to do GPT Sovets. We're going to do version 4. That's the best one. And then for reference voice, we're going to use me. English is what we're going to have here. So there are other languages you can use, Chinese, Japanese, and then Korean for GPT Sovets. And then for seed, we're going to leave at, actually, I'll define a seed for 1. Seed is basically an option you can change to determine how the outputted audio sounds. So for example, setting the seed at 1, if I generate this first sentence, it will always sound the same for seed 1. But if you set it to random, it'll create different types of different sounding generations. Actually, we'll put this at -1. And then here we've got the speed of the output. So we can change the speed. I'm just going to leave it at 1, which is normal. Sample steps increases the quality, quote unquote, of the output. I'll leave it at default, which is 8. And then temperature changes how, let's say, like dramatic the file or the outputted text-to-speech is. So the higher the number, the more unpredictable the output audio might sound, but it might sound more creative. Let's go with 8.0 there. So we've got it all set up. Now all we need to do is go ahead and do start audiobook generation, and it's going to start generating the audio for each individual sentence. You can monitor the progress with the bar right here underneath continue audiobook generation, but we're going to incur a large download first because GPT Sovets needs to download the models. So here you can see all of the models are downloading, so we're just going to wait for that to finish up and then we'll be back. And as it's generating, you can see that the color turns to gray or to the background, and you can see that it's the numbers, the percentage is iterating here on the left hand side. So GPT Sovets is nice and fast, but I do have a 4090, so that could be the reason that's fast. And I'm going to go ahead and hide this. And this is kind of just a visual bug, unfortunately, where the space that was taken up is just being filled here. So what I'm going to do is just show you how you can reload a book. Just in case you close out of it or anything like that, something happens, you can go to load existing audiobook. What this is going to do is it's going to clear the current audiobooks, but everything should be saved, so you shouldn't have to worry. We're going to navigate into the audiobooks folder and then the test. That's what we named it. So you just have to click on that folder. You don't have to go into it or anything like that. Just select folder and it's going to load it back in here. So boom, we have just generated our first audiobook, and let's take a listen. Let's take a listen to this first one.
Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had.
And there you go. Not too bad. I can also regenerate the chosen sentence here. So we are going to click that. So regenerate chosen sentence. There is no progress bar for that, but you'll see inside of the terminal here that it generated and regeneration is complete. And we could take a listen to it again.
Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, he told
And it's going to be a little bit different. You could also click this pause button to stop the audio when it's playing. This stop button is to stop the generation when it's generating. So they're a little bit different. So now I'm going to go into some custom or some that's like advanced options that you can use inside of the audiobook maker to make things a little bit more customizable, stuff like that. So the first thing is speaker. So speaker, you can add multiple speakers. So for that, I'm going to need a new voice. So I'm going to go to GPT Sovitz. I'm going to call, say, Alma. All right, so we need to switch to voice reference file. That's what we want. We're going to do Alma for this case. I'm going to go ahead and browse for one. I'll be right back. So I got the audio file and the transcription. Going to go ahead and upload that. And then we can start to use two different speakers. So we've got a speaker menu option. We're going to do manage speaker, add speaker. I'm going to select, or I'm going to name the second speaker Alma. We're going to use red for the color here. And then we'll close out of this manage speaker window. Then we are going to change our speaker by going to current speaker in this bottom left hand corner and then selecting Alma. So what we need to do is change the reference voice over here into Alma. We already have it. So actually what we'll need to do is we'll go to narrator and we're going to change that to me. So if I switch between the two, Alma, narrator, Alma, narrator, you can see that the reference voice changes on the bottom right hand corner here. And then we can also change some of the generation settings if you would like, but we are going to leave the generation settings the same. So you can even use different seeds, different language, speed of the output, stuff like that, and it'll work. But to assign different speakers, all you need to do is go to the current speaker, change it, and then just right click the here, we're going to hide the text-to-speech S2S. Is just right-click the sentences that we want to color or to change the speaker for, and it's going to change it. So we'll go back to narrator. Let's say we want to narrate some of these with the narrator voice. We'll do that. And boom, I think we are good to go. So we've got narrator, Alma, Alma, narrator, Alma, narrator, Alma. And then we are going to need to regenerate the whole audiobook because if you listen to it right now,
he didn't say anymore, but we've always been unusually communicative.
It's still the narrator voice, which is the voice sample I uploaded. So we're just going to need to do start audiobook generation. So that is going to do the generation again, and it'll do it one by one or voice by voice. So it's going to do all of the narrator samples first, and then it'll do all of the Alma samples second. But it looks like we ran into an error here. We do have, it says alma.wave does not exist. So I think what I have is maybe a labeling issue here. So I'm going to go into audiobook voices, GPT Sovitz, Alma, and it looks like I'm uploading it as a .ogg. So I'll put in a hotfix that'll fix this. But for now, just for the video, we're going to name this .wave and it'll work for this. So let's go ahead and restart the audiobook generation. So that issue I'll fix before I launch the video so that you guys don't run into that issue. So that it does allow you to use MP3, OGG, M4A, all of those different audio file formats. So as I was saying before, it does all of the narrator voice first, then it's going to do all of the Alma generations next, and then we could take a listen. We could also take a listen while it's generating, so you could always just click on the first sentence to play it from all selected, and it'll start to do that. But for if you have multiple speakers, it might read it out of order because of how generation works, and it needs to generate like that for efficiency. So let's go ahead and play audio from Alma here.
He didn't say any more, but we've always been unusually communicative in a reserved way. And I understood that he meant a great deal more than that.
So we've got the output there, and then we've got, my voice.
Whenever you
here.
feel like
So
criticizing anyone,
I'm gonna go ahead and pause that there. So that is real quick how you could do multi-speaker inside of the audiobook maker. And then I'm gonna do and then I'll show you one more option, which is the bulk regen. So in case you're listening to this and you don't like how some of the sentences sound, you don't need to individually go through every single one and do regenerate chosen sentence. You just need to check the regen box for the ones you want to regenerate. So I just selected these randomly. And then I'm just going to click this regenerate in bulk option. So this is going to regenerate all of those sentences again that we selected. And you can see the progress still tracking here with the progress bar. So you can see the highlights are going away, the generations are finishing, and it's all done there. So those have been completed. And then last, there is like this toggle delete column where you can delete some of these sentences. Let's just say I don't like these first 4 sentences. I can delete these, and then the sentences are gone. So yeah, that's the bulk delete option here. There is one more, I guess, regen settings or clear regen checkboxes. This will clear all of the regeneration checkboxes in case you don't want to regenerate certain sentences. So this will do all of that in bulk. And yeah, I think there are some other things in here, like this open word replacer window. This was a specific request by one of the users, and he actually implemented this and added this into the audiobook maker. I'm not too certain on how this works, but I think this is for changing out abbreviations like Mr., Mrs., stuff like that. I haven't used it personally. And then there's also this search for option down here. So let's say I want to search for I am still. I can do search next, and it's going to highlight the next instance of that in here. I can delete that. I can say go to sentence 2. It's going to go to sentence 2. And then yeah, that's how this search box works down here. This was also contributed by somebody who was using the audiobook maker too. In case your audiobook gets so long that you have too many sentences. So yeah, that is a basic usage on this. And you can even upload backgrounds into here if you'd like. You can clear the background image. That's just a neat little thing. And then if you're done with an audiobook, you can actually export it. So you go to export audiobook, you go to the audiobook, let's say test here, select the folder, and they would export the audiobook into into a exported audiobook folder here. I actually deleted the audiobook or the audio files, but if you had generated an audiobook, you would get a single concatenated audiobook file in here, or a single concatenated WAV file, and then you can listen back to it. So that's a neat little export option there too. And then yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the basic usage of the audiobook maker. It is in active development, so there are new things that are being added into here, but as a baseline, it is already good enough, I believe, to generate audiobooks with these text-to-speech engines. And it's fairly customizable. If there are features that you guys would like to see or that you want to add yourselves into here, because I am often limited by time, always feel free to hop on over into the GitHub's area, go to issues, then you can create a new issue, either a bug report or a feature enhancement request, and then you'll just need to fill out this little area here. So this helps me help you a little bit better. New issue, feature enhancement, what type of features you want to see, stuff like that. So yeah, this area exists on the GitHub for me to help you guys out. So do understand though that I am sometimes limited with time, so me getting back to everyone is not feasible, but I'll get back to them as I can. So Usually I prioritize on things that are breaking. So if it's breaking certain features of the audiobook maker, I'll prioritize those first. And actually, there's one more thing that I forgot to show, and that is how to upload custom models if you are an advanced user. So if you have trained any models and you want to use them, that is also available in here too. So for example, let's go ahead and change over into Tortoise. And we're going to do, I think I have a Lex model. So for example, Tortoise requires a specific type of model, AR, and then tokenizer. So if we go into, let's see, I have a bunch of them actually here. Models, Tortoise, you're going to want to upload whatever Tortoise model you have. That's going to be a .pth file. And then if you trained a different language, you would need a tokenizer. But this is going to use English, the default tokenizer for Tortoise. So we are just going to upload this model here without the tokenizer. And then if you're wondering where it uploads them, it's going to go inside of Engines, Tortoise, Models, and you'll see it here. So it'll rename to whatever name you put, in this case, Lex. And then you'll do the same thing for all of the other models. So style TTS requires the same thing, .pth, and then a configs file. So if we go into the models here that I have, we've got the epochs, we've got a configuration file. We can call this, I forgot what this one was called. We'll call it model. I'll upload that, STTS2. XTTS is in progress, nothing there. F5TTS requires the F5TTS model. So in this case, we could do F5TTS, and then we'll need to select a tokenizer for F5TTS. Well, we've got this .txt, so we'll actually have to go to all files for this. I'll change the sorting later so that you can see it under the tab here. But we'll need this txt file. Go ahead, upload that. Oh, let's call this Japanese. Go ahead, upload this. This will upload F5TTS. Same thing with GPT Selvits. You get the GPT Selvits model. You get the checkpoint for the GPT model. You need the checkpoint, and then for Selvits, you need a .pth file. So you'll do that there. You would name this whatever it's going to be. It's going to be Alma in this case. And then, RVC, same thing. Get your .pth model, your .index. So yeah, those are how you can upload your own custom models in here if you have them. You just need to fill it out with the correct files, and it'll upload them into the audiobook maker, into this engines area. You'll be able to find them underneath engines. So GPT Selvits, GPT models, we got Alma here, F5TTS models, we've got Japanese here. And yeah, it does work with other languages. I'll just show Japanese real quick. So we could do something like JP, go into the audiobook maker, and then just upload a file. Now this doesn't have any Japanese, but I can just type something in here. Konnichiwa, genki desu ka? And then if I go into F5TTS, we can use it. I'll just need to upload a F5TTS voice. So let's just go here. We can go ahead and just regenerate this, or generate this sentence. I'm just going to generate this single one, so we'll go ahead and do regenerate in bulk. But we've got the Botan voice. We'll use Japanese, tokenizer, Japanese, vocose, and then we'll go ahead and generate with that one. So yeah, what this is going to do is it's going to download the specific models that we need, in this case, vocose, and it'll finish up, and then we can take a listen to it.
こんにちは。ゴニですか?
So there it is. Now I believe I did. I don't think it can read kanji because I didn't train it that way. So we'd have to do it without kanji. So I'd have to regenerate this sentence here, and then we could re-listen to it.
上がってこんにちは。元気ですか?
And it can speak Japanese. But yeah, this is an F5TTS model that I trained a while ago. If you guys are interested in it, I'll link it down below as well. You could try it out if you're in need of Japanese. This one's on my Hugging Face repository, F5TTS Japanese. You just need to go into here and download the model and the vocab. But yeah, that is how you can get some custom models into the audiobook maker. That is a little bit more advanced. So if this is your first time um, doing any type of AI generation or anything like that, that is a little bit beyond your level at the current moment. But I do want to come out with some newer and updated tutorials on how to get some of these models trained. So look out for that in the future. But zero shot text to speech is also up and coming. So less and less training is gonna generally be needed. But yeah, I think I covered all I wanted to for the audiobook maker. If you run into any questions or have any issues, remember that GitHub issues area. That's the best way to reach me. You can try to email me as well, but my email does get a decent amount of emails, so I may or may not see it. So just mind that if you do try to email me. But yeah, other than that, hopefully you guys find this useful and you guys find some value out of this. I've been working on it for a decent amount of time and very much appreciate that you guys support it and that when you guys do buy it, you guys send me nice words, which I very much appreciate. So yeah, once again, also like to thank all the members of the channel. Very much appreciate it. And I will see all of you guys later.